So these drums right here were supposed to be on stage at Club Underground tonight for Outlaw Saint, opening up for the Rumors. But, you know, the plague happened and that happened. And last night, Strike 13 was supposed to be at Bart Wolf, which would have been an awesome show, but again, the plague happened. So we're sitting here, and I've got a long weekend, so I thought I'd start out by doing this. And instead of complaining about the plague, like everybody seems to do, let's do something fun. Let's talk about cymbals. What do you say? Hey guys, how's it going? I'm a little crooked, but that's okay. Oh, yes, so it's Thursday, and I've got tomorrow off because of the aforementioned shows that didn't happen. I was going to use that time for recovery, but I figured since I had it off anyway, I'm just going to take it off. Enjoy a cocktail, new merch. Quick word about that. Now that we're in the state, a couple things. Since we're in the state of canceled shows and bands not touring and et cetera, help them out. Go to their page, buy some merch, buy a CD. Every little bit helps. And all that. Share, of course. If bands are doing live streams, which a lot of them are now, watch those and like those and share those. Yeah, and do all that fun stuff. Also, since we're in this kind of state of no shows and probably no interviews because everybody's quarantined, self-quarantined or otherwise, I might just to do something. I might do, this might be the first in a series of videos that I do that I just talk about drums. I talk about drum gear. I talk about, my history with drum gear and all that fun stuff. So that might be fun. I don't know. Who knows? Okay, I really don't. It's cutting off my head, but that's okay. Oh. All right, that's a little bit better. So yeah, Jake from Culture of swung by last night, dropped out this shirt. I pre-ordered it. I can speak. So yeah, thank you for that. It's awesome. It's a real good shirt. It's nice and soft. It's long sleeve, which is always helpful. Okay, cymbals. So, the first drum set I ever acquired, and if you go back on my channel, 2 years ago is when I started all this kind of vlogging nonsense. I talked about my first kit, which I got from my dad. He's a musician. And he was playing with a drummer that had a double bass Red Sparkle Ludwig kit. He acquired half of that. I don't know if he paid for it, if they just gave it to him. I don't know. It was a really nice kit, though. And I feel kind of bad that I don't have it anymore. It was a Ludwig Super Classic from probably, late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there. Really, really nice, solid kit in red sparkle, which you would think your first kit, the color of your first kit, would be ingrained in you in a positive way. For some reason, I really, really despise red sparkle. I don't know why. The junior high that I went to, their kit was red sparkle as well, and something about it just I don't know. Red sparkle, blue sparkle, I don't know, just doesn't. Anyway, so the symbols with that kit were very worn, and they were keyholed, and all the logos had been rubbed off. I believe they were Zildjian though. I believe they were. The ride was a platinum ride, probably a 20-inch. The crash was probably an 18-inch, maybe a crash ride, and 14-inch hi-hats. I mean, you know, again, they sounded kind of clanky at the time, but you know, that's all I had. I was like 12, so it didn't really matter. But by the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, I started actually acquiring my own symbols, and I actually have. You'll get this in a second. But this A custom ride, 20-inch A custom ride, which you'll notice is not a projection ride, not a whatever other kind of names they use in rides now. That's because this is from when the A customs were first introduced, which I believe is right around 1990, 1991, somewhere in there. Maybe 92, because I know I had it when I was going to Music Tech, which was fall of 92 and fall of 93. So it's somewhere in there. So this symbol is probably 30 years old, and I've used it all that time. It's good, it's solid, you know, does the job. And the hi-hats I acquired at the time, which I did kind of lose due to an unfortunate misunderstanding, which I won't get into. They were just a pair of Fortunate Children New Beats, which I think everybody has owned a pair of at some point. So those were the hi-hats I had, the only pair of hi-hats I had for years and years and years and years and years. But then, as I said, probably 2015, I lost them. I'll just say I lost them. It's easier. So after that, I acquired these, which are a set of Quick Beats. And of course, they're the ones with the flatter bottom symbol and the holes in them. I like them. I mean, they're good. They can be loud. They can be very dynamic. You know, I dig them. So outside of that, craft symbols. So up until 10 or so years ago, when I got that kit, my PDP kit, I was strictly a Zildjian guy. And so the crashes I had initially were A 16-inch A thin crashes, because they weren't too heavy and they weren't too clanky, and I didn't really like heavy clanky cymbals. I wanted nice light cymbals, which would have been fine, except I'm a little bit heavier of a player than that. So I broke quite a few of those. I don't know how many. It seems like a lot. It's probably not that many, but I know I've bought at least probably four or five, because I was only using one, maybe two crashes at the time. So not a huge cymbal setup yet. So I went through a bunch of those, and then when I decided to move on from those, when I was breaking them too often and whatnot, of course, I went to the A Customs because once the A Customs were introduced, I fell in love with them. So I got a couple, I went through at least 2, maybe 3 17-inch A Custom crashes. Again, this is before any sort of, you know, fast crash or whatever. They were just crashes. Went through at least 2 of those. And so I think I was down to 1. So I think for the majority of the 90s, late 90s at least, and into the 2000s, I had this ride, I had my Newbie Hi-Hats, and probably just 1 17-inch A Custom crash. And that was my cymbal setup for like, you know, 15 years, give or take. I had a China. I somehow acquired a like 15 or 16-inch Wuhan China that I used for a little bit. At one point I had a 17-inch K Dark China, I think it was, that I used for a while, but I had to sell it to get money for like a student loan payment or something stupid like that. All the gear I've sold, I honestly regret every single piece of gear I sold, honestly. But I think a lot of musicians do regret that. I mean, because these are our tools. These are the tools of our passion, and to let it go is like not quite like, you know, letting go of a child, but close. So anyway, so we get to 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. I get this kit, and I decided to get, because I had hi-hats, I had a ride, but I needed all new crashes, and I decided to just go fucking a lot. So that being said, I don't think I got that one right away. I think that one came later. But so we'll do that one. So let's start with this. So went into Guitar Center and picked out the quick kit relatively quickly because I did my research and I know what I wanted. But I spent a lot of time looking at cymbals and doing research, and of course knowing the history that Zildjian and Sabian are, you know, come from the same blood. We'll put it to you that way, because nobody from Zildjian left to form Sabian. So I bought actually a mixture. I bought mostly Sabian, actually, with the exception, I believe, of one 15-inch A Custom crash, which I don't even know why I bought. And hear me out on this. 14 and 15-inch crashes are just weird to me because they're too big to be a splash, but I think they're too small to be a proper crash. Those start at 16 and go up. So 14 and 15-inch crashes have always kind of been weird to me, but I bought a 15-inch A Custom crash. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why. But that being said, I believe that was the only Zildjian I bought that day. I think the rest of them were Sabian. Starting with this guy, which you probably can't even read. That's just an AAX 19-inch Extreme China. Because I needed a China. I wanted a China. Because who doesn't? And yeah, it's not as quick and sharp as I'd like it to be. So I may have to at some point. I know Twin Sound up here has a Zildjian K 14-inch mini China they've had for a long time, and I might at some point have to pick that up. If I could get my hands on a Zildjian, what is it, the Oriental Trash Chinas, those are really nice. Those are really, really quick. But I mean, it served its purpose. When I was in Smudge, the metal band I was in, it definitely served its purpose. But I think if I wanted to use it for in Outlaw Snake for anything, I think it'd be too much. I think it'd be too heavy, too plastic. So I might have to find something else. But yeah, so that was the China I picked up. And I had my 17-inch A Custom Crash. So, and then I had my 15-inch, which I had over here, but I needed two in the middle. So I just started looking and started playing, and I found two that are now, I think, both cracked. Because I beat the crap out of these. And I don't know, I think it's this one. So a 16-inch Stage Crash. Lovely. And then this one, which I found, this is the line I don't think they make anymore, and that saddens me because I actually really like this, is the Bright Crash. And I don't know if there's anything equivalent in their line now. And I mean, if you can see that there are some cracks in there forming. Oh, never mind. I got this one at Twin Town. What was the other one? Did I buy the 17-inch? I may have bought the 17-inch. Crap. It's bad when you can't remember what symbols you buy. But I also have a AAX 17-inch Explosion Crash, which, because when I was young, I liked smaller crashes. I didn't understand big crashes. 18 plus, 18, 19, 20-inch crashes, I didn't get it. Now, older, I do get it. And actually, I do want to look at getting some bigger crashes. Because 16-inch, they just don't quite project that I want. Yeah, so I got this guy at Twin Town, so I don't know when I got this crash. Probably, so I think the 17-inch that I had, the A Custom, I think I cracked, and I probably got this to replace it. That's probably the case. Anyway, as far as I know, Sabian doesn't have the Bright line, whatever it would be anymore. I've looked on their website, didn't see it, which again is kind of sad because I really liked this crash. But again, it's damaged, so I don't want to use it too much, but I will. The other Zildjian I bought, I believe it was an 8-inch A Custom Splash, which I did end up selling. Again, regret it. But this guy, if I could afford an entire setup of this line of cymbals, I would get it in a heartbeat. But an entire lineup of what I would want would probably cost about $1,500. That would be the Evolution line, HHX Evolution. Dave Luckel helped him create these. I got the Fender Splash, which honestly is one of my favorite cymbals I've ever owned in my entire life. It's just, I don't know, not a good demonstration, but it is just a gorgeous cymbal. And I know their crashes are just as nice. So I might have to do some financial planning to get more of these because they are awesome. So that was pretty much the cymbals that I got when I got the kit. Then, a couple years later, I found myself in 3 bands. And needed more cymbals. Maybe it was just 2 bands. It was multiple bands, and I needed more cymbals. So I went to Twin Town. I went to Guitar Center and got 2 of the cymbal packs, premium packs. I got a Sabian. It wasn't a B8, but it was one of their more starter lines. That was just a crash pack. I think that had like a 16-inch crash, maybe a splash in there. I don't remember. But then I got a Paiste. The what is the letter of their PT maybe? You know what I'm talking about. Where it has the 3 and the 5 and the 8 and the 9, 11 maybe. But I got the 5s. I got a set of the 5s, which had hi-hat ride, crash, and maybe that had the splash. I don't know. But so those were the first. So the Sabian crashes, they did the job, but they weren't my favorite. Because they were kind of cheap and they kind of sounded like cheap. But the Paiste, which I'd never owned any Paistes before. And I know I mean, everybody going back to John Bonham used Paistes. And a lot of my favorite drummers growing up used them. Charlie Benante and Dave Lombardo and people like that. But I got to say, that particular set, the PST 5s, I believe PST 5, the hi-hats were okay, the crash was questionable, but the ride was one of the heaviest, most solid, most pingy, like cutting rides I've ever played on, and that was beautiful. So that one I regret selling. Yeah. So then at some point I needed a couple new crashes because at some point, where are we at? I had gotten another 16-inch A custom crash when I was in Astronauts because I was using between me and Rob, we had acquired some cymbals. I was using his kit, and he had hi-hats and a ride and one crash, one 16-inch A custom. So I bought another one to match that, and then I eventually brought in, or maybe that's why I got the break. I don't remember. I eventually had 3 crashes on that kit. So somewhere along the line, maybe some cracked or something, but I needed new cymbals again, new crashes. So I went to Twin Town and picked up a pair of the Sabian, I believe it's the SBR series, which is basically they take older cymbals from other series and kind of relathe them, lathe? Is that how you pronounce it? Lathe them and throw a new stamp on them and sell them cheap. And so I picked up a couple of those, and I think like a 17 and an 18, something like that. And not the greatest. I mean, again, they kind of did the job, but I didn't play those very long. So I went back to what I had, and then recently, last year, like December last year, Astronauts moved into the rehearsal space, and so Rob wanted to keep his kit at his house for jams, and I got that. But so that's when I acquired my Mapex kit, and we'll talk about that in another video. The actual drums I've had, but I need cymbals for that kit. So the easiest way to do it was I went and I found another cymbal pack at Twin Town. Shout out Twin Town for Guitar Star. You have an awesome drum section. And I acquired a set of the Zildjian S series, which were relatively cheap. And the reason I got this particular set is because it had 2 crashes on it, which is kind of unusual. So the hi-hat, it's the Master Sound, right? Master Sound, which is the wavy ones. Don't know if you can see that. Ooh, wavy. And the hi-hats are pretty nice. Came with a 16-inch crash, medium thin. I got the medium. Apparently, I got the medium thin set. So that's a little darker than I like. I'm not really a dark cymbal person. I'm a bright cymbal person. I got the 18-inch crash. Which is actually a little bit nicer than the 16. And then it came with a 20-inch medium ride. So I mean, which, you know, again, it's a little bit above the beginner set, but it's not, you know, they work in a pinch. So I got those and used those for a few gigs, probably 3, 4, 5, 6 gigs with Astronauts. And then once that group disbanded, I kind of put them away. But during that period, I needed was I still in Smudged? I don't remember. I needed another set of hi-hats for some reason. So I went to a music around out in somewhere, which I don't remember. It's a suburb. I'm a city kid. I don't know. And found these, a Stage Hat 13-inch. Never played 13-inch hi-hats before, and I kind of liked them. I kind of dug them. And these were the hi-hats that we used to record the last Outlaw Saint album. That is not an option. So yeah. I think that's all the cymbals I have here. So yeah, I've bought a lot of cymbals. I've sold a lot of cymbals. I've broken a lot of cymbals, and I'm sure all of you have. But yeah, cymbals are fun. It's kind of said that there's two varieties of drummers. There are drum people and there are cymbal people. And if you look at someone like Keith Moon, or somebody like I don't remember his name, but the original drummer for Alice Cooper, these were obviously drum people because their kits are huge, but they have like 4 cymbals total. And then there are cymbal people. I am definitely a cymbal person. I just want to be surrounded by cymbals. Yeah, but they're expensive, and again, you have to budget for them, which I'm not really that good at. But you know, who knows? So the most minimal cymbal setup I've had that I played shows with, that I played shows with, was just hi-hat ride crash. And my fullest cymbal setup that I played shows with was hi-hat ride, China, 4 crashes, 2 splashes. And I know there are people that are in between. There's more, there's less. But yeah, symbols are fun, and that's all I gotta say. And so, you know, so enjoy the weekend. Have a cocktail or two, because you're probably going to be stuck inside anyway. And yeah. So, as always, just be cool. Don't be a dick. And support every single one of your locals, especially now. Especially now. Especially now. So, see you later. See you on the other side.